Welcome to the Elegant Lady podcast, where we discover timeless style, allure, and grace as we explore the art of being irresistibly attractive while staying true to our authentic selves. Join me for fashion tips, etiquette insights, and more as we unlock the essence of elegance. Let's rock the world with our confidence and grace. Hi, and welcome back to a new episode of the Elegant Lady podcast. Today we have a very interesting topic and also a very special guest for that topic. Let's get started with naming the topic first. Classic fashion pieces everyone should own. What does that mean to you as an elegant lady? And how would that be delivered to you also by another very special elegant lady? Please, let's welcome Fiorina. Hi.
Hi.
Welcome to the podcast. I am a huge fan of your Instagram and your blog. Please introduce yourself to our lovely listeners.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am a fashion blogger. I have my own blog where I specifically focus on timeless and elegant fashion, and I kind of try to teach people how they can really utilize their wardrobe to the maximum and wear their clothes for the rest of their lives. And it's also kind of a factor of sustainability, I would say. And I'm really passionate about it.
We're so excited to hear from you, your tips and tricks, and also what it means to you having a classic closet of elegance. So let's get started. First question I have for you is, what do you consider to be timeless classic fashion pieces that everyone should have?
I would say that's actually a very difficult question because there are so many fundamental pieces in your wardrobe that can help you have a classic wardrobe. But if you have to narrow it down, I would say one of the most important ones, the crisp white blouse. I think everyone should have that. A tailored blazer, a little black dress, and a high quality leather bag. I would say if you have these, and maybe also a classic coat, then you'll definitely be fine.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And speaking of the little black dress, it's crazy when one looks at the history of the little black dress as something that Lady Chanel has started years ago, and then to live through movies, articles, and until today, it is such a timeless piece. And I'm so glad that you brought that up, because I think it's something that we all must have in our closets, regardless if we follow an elegant fashion or not. It's such a great piece to have. And how do you define in general elegance in fashion? And how does it relate to classic pieces that you just mentioned?
Elegance and fashion is really about feeling the best you can in your own skin and using these classic pieces to achieve that. And that could be something different for everyone, but if you do have these pieces, you can incorporate other elements in your wardrobe that bring out your personality, and then that's how you achieve elegance in fashion. A lot of people have a very big misconception on what elegance actually means in fashion. I've had a discussion with a few people about this because they're curious, obviously, and many people think that elegance is a certain style, like a specific style in fashion, but that's not true. That is very wrong. I think elegance can be something that everyone interprets differently.
Absolutely. And now I think the more trendiness that we see online in the reels, old money, new money, kind of quiet luxury, all these terms are thrown around. But actually, the elegance is, I guess, a bigger topic and a much bigger pool. And I believe you don't have to be necessary into luxury in order to be elegant at all.
Absolutely not. Yeah, I totally agree. I think that's such a big misconception, and it makes me sad because I'm so passionate about elegance. And another thing is, I mean, as you're saying, all these trends, they're really trends and they're going to change. And people adapt to them and they think, oh, this is a timeless trend, but timelessness isn't about a trend. And you see people like, even, I don't know if you've observed this, but Kylie Jenner going into more of the quiet luxury style, when a few years back she was in a completely different style, and people are saying, oh, she completely changed for good. But I disagree. I think if we're going to wait, in a couple years there's going to be a new trend and then she's going to wear that.
Following trends is a big trap because most
Oh yeah.
of people buy things according to those trends, and then in a couple of seasons it just becomes a piece in your closet, and you're not able to even feel what you said about elegance, to feel good in your own skin. You don't feel that because trendy pieces are meant to not stand the test of time. And yeah, totally agree with you.
Exactly. Yes.
So, is there some examples of such classic fashion pieces that have stood the test of time with you?
With me personally, and I mean, I don't own some of these pieces, but I would generally historically look at it, and I would probably say the Chanel tweed jacket, the classic Chanel tweed jacket would be one of them. Burberry trench coat, maybe the Cartier tank watch, even though it's overdone right now, I feel like it's still a very classic piece. And then definitely Hermes, Birkin, and Kelly. And this is so controversial. This kind of gets us back to the argument that we had about trends, but I think so many people have it online right now. But I will repeat myself, in a couple years, it will not be that way anymore because there will be some different it bag. And but yes, these are the pieces that I think definitely have withstood the test of time.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I believe for me, it's something me and you are wearing in common today. It's pearls. It has always been there.
Oh
And I
yeah,
guess it
that's
stands
true.
the test of time. It's absolutely a piece of jewelry that our, I think, even older generation in the family had, and is such a classic piece of jewelry that withstand the test of time. Personally, for me, I believe it is. And in general, do you think if someone wants to always look elegant, shouldn't they also sometimes play with trends? It's not that strict because sometimes when we speak about elegance and we say, okay, have to have elegant wardrobe, and people automatically, if they're listening to this podcast, they want to become more elegant. Is there a way that we can incorporate classic fashion pieces into trendier looks from your perspective?
Yes, definitely. And I would say even I do this. And so the way I see it is you build like a base capsule wardrobe with staple pieces that are very classic, and then you incorporate maybe certain accessories. I like to do this with silk scarves. I also know I really have been wanting a Polen bag because they have more of a modern twist to the look,
Yeah.
but they still use very high quality leathers. Something like that, I feel like could be a way to incorporate trends, but I do think you have to be careful because you could really easily get trapped in the trends. But I think if someone has a really classic base wardrobe, like a capsule wardrobe, then and you just throw in some pieces here and there, then yes, absolutely, I agree.
Definitely. And I really like what you said, incorporating silk scarves and looking into things, having like a curated capsule, and then adding trends every now and then, adding an updated piece. And of course, Bolin has been on my list for a while as a bag. I guess they have very interesting shapes and, as you say, the quality. And that actually brings me to a random question a little bit. Do you think that having elegant pieces has to always necessarily be expensive? Because Polen is not a mess in the price, but can someone incorporate pieces without paying so much money for it?
100%. Absolutely. And I think sometimes you even have to be careful. And the way I do this is absolutely love Amazon. And I know people are going to say, no, Amazon, you have to support small businesses. But if you really are on a tight budget, you can go to Amazon and find some classic tan ballerinas or even ones that look very similar to
Sure.
the Chanel ones, like dupes without a logo. Um, Even the pearls that I'm wearing, the necklace, it's from Amazon because I wanted to kind of test out if I would wear a pearl necklace before spending a lot on one. And even I've noticed this recently only, but H&M is a good option. They, even if you're very careful and you look at the details of the fabrics that they use, sometimes they do sneak in natural materials. So if you're careful and precise, then yes. I think dressing elegant has nothing to do with spending a lot of money. I think it's something that a lot of people do because obviously you get what you pay for. If you buy, let's say, an Hermes bag, you're going to get the quality. But there are other options, and I do link this on my blog very frequently, usually in every blog post. If it's not for a specific brand, I do tend to link a variety of options for all kinds of budgets because it's important.
Absolutely. And by the way, I'm going to link your blog in the description, so please make sure to check it out. And I totally agree with you regarding the price. I guess the pearls specifically was my find of the century a couple of years ago, because whenever I went to a store here, I live in Germany, and I was looking for pearls. Always what you find in stores is freshwater pearls, and they don't even have a certificate of it. And it would cost
Mhm.
like 500 euros easily, the necklace. And then you look on Amazon, freshwater pearls as well, but they are just fraction of that price with a
Oh,
certificate
yes.
that tells you in detail what is this piece. So sometimes you find quality not in a very conventional way. So absolutely, that's an amazing tip there for someone who's trying to build a collection. Actually, fun fact, as a designer, I always tell people I appreciate H&M, always did, in comparison to Zara, because Zara
Oh,
copies
yes.
Runway. H&M
Mhm.
collaborates with runway designers, and this has happened throughout the years. So they made a collaboration with Balmain, with Giambattista Valli, and so many big runway
Mhm.
designers, and I really appreciate that. And also, they currently have this premium line, which sometimes you can find real leather items in it and cashmere mix, and I love that. I love the price tag that this comes at.
Yes, I've seen that too. I think, was it with the Brock collection? I think I love those dresses too. Very floral. So I agree. And another thing that comes with elegant fashion or more, let's use the term classic fashion, is you're investing in things that you're planning to wear for your lifetime, and you're expecting them to last, which means you're not buying things over and over again, which is very sustainable actually. And if you can find that from H&M and you really wear it for many, many years, then I would say that's a score, because I know there are
Of
brands
course.
for even hundreds of dollars where something breaks off, a button comes off, and you've spent $200, $300 on a piece, or even more. It's frustrating.
This will bring me to the next question I have for you. How does classic fashion pieces contribute to personal style and self-expression? There is a misconception that wearing elegant and classic pieces will make you boring and lack self-expression. What do you think of that?
Think the absolute opposite. I think that classic pieces serve as a foundation for personal style, and then you can play around. I mean, I love Pinterest. I love browsing on Pinterest, and I've seen so many elegant ladies that wear flamboyant colors that I would never go near, and that's their personality. They love to wear really vibrant colors or really colorful patterns, which my personal taste wouldn't be that, but they're still elegant. They're wearing classic silhouettes, but they're expressing themselves in such a vibrant way, and I admire that. I think it's just a foundation, and you can use these items to be timeless and classic, but totally bring out your personality. So yeah, that's an absolute misconception.
And as you said also earlier, this ties in with the idea that your accessories then also can become your self-expression. Having silk scarves in loud patterns or in your favorite color, sometimes adding pops of color here and there, this could also help a lot. So classic pieces doesn't only mean white, black, and navy. It could also be other colors that fit into your scheme. And this is something I discovered recently after I've done a professional skin analysis. After I knew my color palette, I was so terrified because in my color palette, black is not flattering on me. So I had to change everything. So I only wear navy. So this is navy. That's why it makes my skin look better. If it was completely black, I would look so dull. And such examples, that was the only way I could push myself out from this idea that being classic and classy and elegant is always a very neutral color base. So absolutely.
Yeah, no, I think what you're saying about the color analysis is actually a very good point because even though if you want to build a capsule wardrobe, and obviously navy, black, and beige are very classic colors that you can work with, but it does not suit everyone. So if people even, I mean, just like you have done a color analysis, a professional one, and then you know your colors, it might be actually even easier to express your personal style and look as flattering and as best possible in your own skin because you know that. And it's funny because I haven't done it yet because I'm terrified. I don't have that many black pieces, but the black pieces that I do have in my wardrobe are so fundamental that, that I'm like really scared. But I think it would be a similar situation like you, where navy probably looks better. Although I still rebelled and wore black today. um, I do think that would make things a lot easier for people. And I know there are spreadsheets on Pinterest too that I've seen where if whatever color season you are, they guide you with even makeup, all of that, and the tones for basics that you could buy. So I would recommend that to anyone. And honestly, I should do it myself.
Absolutely. And don't worry, you don't have to throw away your black pieces. You just have to keep them away from your face. So that is, I think, the biggest tip that helped me because I was also so terrified. I have expensive pieces that are classic and I didn't want to let go of them. But if you have a scarf that is in your color and you throw it at the top and then you're wearing something in black, it always works because it makes your face pop. Speaking back on the budget part, because this is something very attractive to people. If you were building a classic closet today on a budget, what are the fashion pieces you will start with? And if you have recommendations from a place, what would they be?
I would definitely first evaluate, are you more of a person that wears dresses or skirts, or do you prefer trousers? And if you know that, you can kind of start, okay, I'm a person that prefers trousers because I'm a business person. Then you start with buying trousers in classic colors. I would always say start with ivory or beige and then either navy or black, whatever your preference is, but with neutrals in the beginning, because then you can also figure out the silhouette you like. I would also recommend a blazer or a jacket. And there are also so many different variations. So you really need to evaluate, okay, what shape suits me personally best. But I do always say stick with neutrals when you're starting out because you want to explore the silhouette first. Yes, and as I mentioned earlier, a crisp white shirt is something that everybody should have in their closet. I would say a crisp white shirt and a white shirt dress, because with the white shirt dress you can do so many things. You can wear it with a belt, you can style it up with a blazer, wear pumps and go out on a night, or you could wear ballerinas or even elegant white sneakers and have more of a casual look. So I think the white shirt dress is one of my favorites. And as for brands, I would definitely look at Ralph Lauren. And that I say that because Ralph Lauren, they have different lines. They have a really high end one, a mid range one, and then a lower one, which is more affordable. So I would definitely look at Ralph Lauren because Ralph Lauren is almost always timeless, almost every single time. I do also love this brand, Goelia. They have very elegant and timeless pieces that are at a reasonable price, and you will get real silk, real wool, really high quality materials, but you're not spending a fortune on the items. And then, as we mentioned, H&M, but if it's possible, I would probably go with Ralph Lauren or Goelia if I could. Yes.
Very solid, I think, suggestions. And personally, I saw on your blog you had a couple of classic pieces, and I think those are so interesting. Also, jewelry pieces that are classic to start a collection.
Yes.
So I definitely recommend everyone to check that out because it's a pretty also good foundation if you're building a classic closet for yourself. And definitely, if I add two brands that I really, really like is I've always been a big fan of Lily Silk for so long.
Oh, yes.
And of course, for me, basics is always Uniqlo. I love their cashmere sweaters so much. I love their down jackets. They have real feathers in them, which is for the price point amazing. So if you live in also a colder climate, you can look into that. I guess you can build a very solid foundation like this. And I personally also love secondhand shopping. It's for me a
Oh,
treasure
yes,
hunt.
definitely.
I'm
Yeah, I
actually today
actually
wearing a secondhand
agree.
set.
Oh, wow. No, I absolutely agree on that. And that's funny that you're mentioning jewelry because I love shopping vintage jewelry, actually. I think the pieces are some things you can't even get nowadays. For example, I saw this, it was like a flower necklace from Tiffany and Co. You can't buy that at the store anymore. They don't have it, but it's
No,
so elegant and timeless, and you can get it for a much better price. So I totally
absolutely.
agree on that.
And the thing is also when you look for timeless pieces that are not necessarily trendy, but they look classic and classy from brands like Tiffany or from also Cartier, they're much cheaper than
Definitely.
the other very popular models that became too trendy at the
Yes,
moment, and you don't want them actually to build a classic wardrobe.
definitely. I actually would recommend if you're I'm more of a Tiffany's girl than a Cartier girl personally, but I love their Fleur de Lis bar collection, and it's not the I don't know if you know the key. They have the key, but I recommend actually it's like a very thin dainty bar necklace. They have it in white gold, rose gold, and yellow gold, and it's so dainty and it's much more affordable than their other collections and pieces, and it has real diamonds on it. So that's a very good point. I agree.
Yeah. We'll check that out definitely. My favorite was the hardware collection, but that is not cheap anymore. In the last price
No.
increase, that became so trendy, unfortunately.
No.
Um,
I mean, nothing is cheap from there, but I mean, if you pick where to put your money, there definitely are options.
Speaking of, do you think what are common mistakes you think people make when they start incorporating classic fashion pieces into their wardrobe?
I think they're very small details that people are overlooking, and one of them is definitely overlooking fit and tailoring because there are a lot of budget brands where they might have a timeless or classic pattern and a really nice fabric, but then you put it on and it looks very slouchy or it's way too big or way too small, and those are tiny mistakes that people don't really pay attention to. Another one would be, I would say, materials that they just take a look at what it looks like, but they don't consider the materials because fabrics have a different function. In summer, you want different fabrics. You'll want a linen or a cotton, but in winter, you might want more cashmere and wool pieces. But people don't look at the little tag inside, or if you're shopping online, a lot of people don't look at the materials and then they buy it, and then you get a polyester piece. And I mean, nothing against polyester. I know there are brands that use it as a blend, but it's just not the best and most high quality option out there.
Absolutely.
And then another thing I would say is it might not be when you're shopping for things, but once you already have the item, I notice a lot of people don't iron or steam their things. They just wear it and then it looks not as put together as it could be. They're like the little fine details, those can make a big difference.
And as you said, also care, they don't understand it that well. But I think, if you have an Apple iPhone, please check this new feature they have. So if you open the tag where you have the laundry instructions and take a photo of this, it magically opens in the information a description of what it means, the signs there. So if you are confused, of course all of us are, but I think this is a very huge important thing, because the worst thing that could happen is that you buy yourself a beautiful cashmere piece because every other person is telling you how cashmere is great, and then you put it in the
Oh,
wash and then it shrinks.
oh no.
Worst
Ugh,
nightmare.
terrible.
Are there any classic fashion pieces that you think are overlooked or underrated at the moment?
It's difficult because, I mean, it's important for everyone to have their own preferences, but maybe tailored trousers. I would say are underrated. And personally, for me, I don't really wear them as often as I should. And I've been trying to incorporate them more in my personal wardrobe because I always wear dresses or skirts most of the time. So for me personally, that's underrated. And I also think maybe, I actually don't think it's underrated, but a lot of people wear a camel toned coat. But I've watched this influencer, and she always breaks down the details in garments, and she was saying that a lot of people wear camel coat, but it looks cheaper even if you're spending like hundreds of dollars, just based on the detail of how the coat is made. So I think that's a very underrated piece where people could look, because I've seen a Max Mara coat, and Max Mara is expensive. It's like $2,000, I would say. And then the way the fabric is woven, it just makes the entire coat look cheaper. I do think silk blouses are underrated. I've just gotten one, and it is so flattering. It actually is very comfortable too. And as you
Yeah,
mentioned, Lily Silk has great options. So I think the silk blouse, you can do so much with a silk blouse, but people, I think they prefer maybe linen blouses. I mean, just from Instagram, when I look at it, I don't see people wearing silk blouses all the time, but I think it's so elegant with a skirt, even with trousers. It's so versatile.
absolutely, totally agree. And for me personally, I believe that it's a very, very missed classic piece at the moment. It's not what everyone sees, but it's very important to look put together. It's the proper undergarment. And
Oh,
in
yeah.
our age, I guess it's not that common as it used to be back in the day, but I am shocked sometimes when I explain to someone if you want the skirt to lay better on your body and when the air hits you, you just don't suddenly look as if you're wearing leggings. You have to wear an underskirt. And then they look at me, what is an underskirt, Angie? And I start
Uh,
explaining. So it really is something that I think is so underrated, but very important so that the garment really look proper on you.
this is a brand. I used to shop from them for a while, but a lot of their things are a bit more revealing, so it wouldn't be my number one brand. But I'm sure you've heard of them, House of CB. And in
Yeah,
they have a store here in on Melrose in Los Angeles, and they sell seamless underwear and undergarments in their stores because a lot of their things are a bit more tighter, or depends on the shape, and they're very different, very unique, so they need special underwear because imagine you're wearing a beautiful dress and then everyone can see what underwear you're wearing. That would be a nightmare. So yes, I totally agree. And I don't personally endorse Kim Kardashian, but I do know that Skims has very high quality and very functional undergarments.
absolutely. And
So
a
I think that
huge
would be
color
great.
range. Color range
Mm-hmm.
is very important because it's so sad that nowadays you don't find those undergarments in all skin tones. And sometimes it's too
Yes.
yellow, even on me, it looks too yellow. And I look at it and this is supposed to be for light skin, but I don't understand the yellow. Where is it coming
Yes.
from? So,
Definitely.
absolutely.
And that's another important factor too, because if you're wearing the wrong color, for example, if you do decide to invest in a white, crisp silk blouse, sometimes white can be a bit sheer no matter how much money you spent on it. Imagine
Yeah.
you start wearing black underwear. You have to wear another layer, or you have to wear the same color as your skin tone. So, yes,
Yeah.
I totally agree with you.
And speaking of which, how important do you think is investing in high quality pieces rather than fast fashion options? Because I think right now we have to also weigh in the importance of this. How come this could be worthy of your money more than just getting into buying stuff from Shein because it's much cheaper, or getting things from, in our case in Europe, Primark, or I don't know, Target in the US, depends. How can we really weigh importance of the high quality or looking for high quality?
Well, yes, as we said earlier, high quality doesn't always come at a high price, but it oftentimes does. So I talked to this about, like, I have a younger sister and she's a younger generation, and I do know that the younger generations, tend to spend a lot of money at brands like Shein and fast fashion brands because they think, oh, we can't afford high quality pieces like that. But then I always think, okay, you're spending, let's say you buy every month 5, 6, 7 items from Shein. If you accumulate the price of how much you have spent on these items that are not going to last you, you could just buy one item that might last you much, much longer. And I
Absolutely.
do think it is really important in investing in high quality pieces because you can evaluate where do I put my money strategically and then figure out what's going to last long, because Shein isn't going to last you long. But there are budget options that do last a long time. So I do think
Definitely.
deciding when and where and how to invest in high quality pieces is really important. And another thing I do think is there's so much pressure on all of us because of social media to look a certain way, to wear certain things. Appearance nowadays is everything. So a lot of people decide to buy replicas or dupes or support fast fashion that there's slave work behind it sometimes, and that's actually very sad. So those are so many things to consider, and I understand that there's a lot of pressure on everyone nowadays, but I think there are so many options. Like, example for with the handbags, I'm sure you know Cezanne. I love Cezanne, the brand. I've just recently discovered them, but I saw their handbags. They have options that look very similar to the Celine Triomphe bag, and they're full leather, but just at a much lower price point. And I think there are so many beautiful alternatives for lower price points that will make you look really elegant and really elevated and expensive even without spending that much money. And maybe it's also a societal issue, but I do think that we should normalize that investing in high quality pieces is more important than following fast fashion brands.
Of course, a message to the younger generation. You're not gonna die if people see you in the same outfit twice. Stop making it a big fuss. Every photo has to be a new outfit. No, you can rewear the same things. If royals
Yes.
do it, why can't you? I just don't sometimes understand why do people really fixate. And that's what makes she in a bigger scheme. But again, uh, I I think I got into vintage fashion because of my grandparents, because I remember one time I opened my grandma's closet and in it I found a Burberry wool coat. And I remember it really lived, this jacket lived longer than my dad did. And it
Wow.
is wearable. It is still wearable. And since then, I told myself, okay, check vintage stores. And you find this set is an
Yes.
Escara set. This is all beads, and none
Wow.
of them fell. And
Beautiful.
this is a 90s model made out of
Yes.
cashmere mixed with wool, and it lived. It lived until someone like me would even give it 20 more years of wear. So when I
Yes.
look at this and then I look at something from Shein that you wear twice and then wash, and then also the material, the bad materials people don't understand,
Oh, yes.
they make you smell bad.
Oh,
Polyester
yes.
makes you smell bad. So why would you want that at all?
But that actually brings me to another thing. What you said about the set that you're wearing, sometimes the vintage things, and I think this is specifically with Chanel handbags, sometimes the vintage items are much higher quality than the pieces that are made nowadays because in this economy, companies focus so much on making sales and profits rather than selling their customers
Absolutely.
actual high quality product.
Can you share your tips of how you maintain and care for the classic fashion pieces? So, okay, now we got the classic pieces. How do we take care and make it live
Mhm.
longer from your perspective?
That's I think it's really helpful that you said earlier that there's a function in the iPhone now that we could learn how to take care of the items. But personally, depending on what the item is, if they're washable items, then I would just take care that maybe you wash them on the cold setting rather on the hot setting and let them air dry. I let a lot of my things air dry rather than tumble dry. Dryer actually reduces the lifespan of items by so much. And then obviously, if you have items that have to be dry cleaned, then that's your only option. And I know maybe that's a little bit annoying, and a lot of people are busy and don't have time to bring their things to dry cleaner all of the time. But that's why maybe it's better to, you know, do that rather than wash them and then they get destroyed because you're going to regret it. And then for
Absolutely.
handbags, for example, if you have an expensive handbag, and this is something I learned from my Hermes essay, is that you want to let the leather breathe once in a while. You want to let it stand out. And then once in a while, you want to put it to sleep and put it back in the dust
Dust
bag or in the
bag.
box. And you have to do that because I've seen horrific images where people had their leather bags and they had mold on it and they got completely destroyed. And that's something you want to avoid if you're putting your money in a luxury item. But even if you just got a Polen bag, I think that's something good that you could do. Then another thing I do with my shoes, actually, I do tend to clean my shoes regularly and take care of them just to maintain them, because shoes are actually one of the items that break the quickest, obviously, because they're on the ground and we hit things.
Speaking of care, actually, most people think that once a small thing happens to a leather piece they have, like a bag or a shoe, oh, now it's time to throw it and buy one new. What they don't understand is that leather can live forever. Funny thing, I am in parallel to now the episode, I am reviving a Chanel vintage bag that I bought a while ago. And this was, they call them the Series Zero. They are the first line of a single flap, of a flap, a single flap bag. And they used to call them the Wave, the Moon Wave. It's such a classic slash rare piece. I got it, I cleaned it, repainted it, re-gold
Wow.
plated it myself, and it's such an
Wow.
amazing, let me show you. I'm not done with it, but it just got repainted by me. I'm putting in it some dust bags
Impressive.
to redo it. Of course, I have to cover this, but I
Wow.
also re-gold plated this, and it gets to live. This is a bag from the 80s. It's a bag from the
Wow.
80s.
That's
And
impressive.
the funny thing is, this is lambskin, which people say it doesn't live. This has lived from the 80s. It's an old bag. So
It's
again,
beautiful.
on the quality, of course, leather, you can take care of it and it can live forever. You can repaint it. Coats of the bag, once it gets frayed, don't be scared. Just open a lighter and make sure to kill those frays. And there is something called an edge coat. Even if you had a Louis Vuitton bag, let's say, and the vachetta got a little bit stained, there are colors sold today that are in the vachetta color and you can repaint
Mm.
it. So absolutely. And also water resistant protector. I love to use this on my bags and shoes. And I sometimes even do it on pants. If I am wearing jeans, let's say, and I will wear one of my expensive bags in a light color, I protect the color transfer by putting a layer of that on my jeans. So there is ways to protect these items and make them live.
And there are so many businesses nowadays too. I mean, it's impressive that you were able to do that yourself. I would probably be scared to ruin the bag on accident. But I mean, there are so many services nowadays where
Yeah.
businesses have repair services, even for, the Louboutin pumps where they can
Yeah.
redo the red sole for you. Those are little things that will help your item to live so much longer. And if you do have a Hermes bag, then we can actually take that to the Hermes spa. They will do that for us. Um,
Exactly.
so that's a great thing that comes with it. I don't think Chanel directly has it. I know Chanel is a little bit more difficult in that sense.
But Hermes does,
But
and Celine does
yes.
actually. So I had the
Yes.
old model
Wow.
of the box bag, the one with the metal piece
Hmm.
in the middle, not the Celine logo. And I have to say, I love it
Yeah.
way more than the new one. Way more. It's such a classic piece. But I had a discoloration in that metal piece years ago. I took it to the Celine shop and they completely switched it for me for free.
Wow.
So
That
some shops you have to ask about the policy, but you are not just paying for the price of the good quality, you're also paying for the service. And Hermes and Celine and
yes.
such houses are a good example of that.
And it's important to do that. It's important to do that because your things are not going to stay perfect. And the way my mind is, I am a perfectionist, but I've come to terms that things are going to age and there's a beauty to it as well. I mean, I
Yeah.
look online at the vintage Chanel bags all the time and I almost think, wow, they look like they have been lived in a little bit and you
Yeah.
can give them another life. And I kind of like that. I totally like that. And actually, one of my Birkins, I don't know if you know this leather, it's Barenia leather. And Barenia leather actually is the first leather that Hermes ever used for their saddles. And that is actually
Wow.
one of the only leathers that you can put in the rain and you can scratch it and it easily buffs out. So that is one of the bags that I'm looking forward to aging actually because it's just going to become more and more beautiful. So
Absolutely.
there's one side to maintaining your items, but also another side to embracing that they're going to age.
And of course, the knowledge you just mentioned, knowing what leather to pick when you're picking the bag, knowing how it is reacting with you, how can you clean it, how can you take care of it, the history of it is so important. And I think this is the beauty of having a curated small collection that has such special pieces than having a very big collection of so many cheap bags that you know nothing about the base of them. Now we get to something interesting. What role does accessories play in complementing a classic fashion piece from your perspective?
I think that accessories play a vital role because they can bring your personality to life and they can elevate an outfit, but they can also elevate another accessory. Like, I'm sure you use them on your Birkin. The Twillies, for example, they bring more
Yeah,
personality into your bag. It's not just another Birkin, it's like your Birkin. You personalized it. And for example,
absolutely.
I love Hermes. I'm sorry if I get too deep into it, but Jane Birkin, have you seen how she wore her Birkin?
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally I wouldn't personally say it's super elegant, but she
No.
definitely used accessories to
Yes,
personalize it and bring some flair to the item. And I think that's what
absolutely.
accessories do. And you can even do this with shoes. I've seen people put like little twillies on their sandals. And not just silk scarves, even really statement jewelry. If you're bold like that, if you want to be classic and elegant, but want to be bold, like more chunky pieces, the bigger vintage gold earrings that everyone's wearing right now, something like that. Um, I think it's super important. I think accessories are what finishes off everything and where you can see, okay, that is your personality in the outfit and that's you. That's not just another elegant lady, it's your personality while being elegant.
Totally. Totally. Absolutely agree with you. And the Twillies and silk scarves from Hermes are very special as well. For me, I
Yes.
guess every year they bring an artist that makes a collection for silk. And you can follow up, okay, when is my favorite artist going to create a piece? And even in the
Mm-hmm.
vintage market, you can hunt down some of the old artisans'
Yes,
work. I'm
definitely.
originally I'm Egyptian, and I was running around looking for the Hermes collection of Tutankhamun, which is like something pharaonic, and I wanted that symbol of, oh wow, they made a collection for Egypt ages ago, and I want that piece so much. Totally agree with you. And there are some overlooked pieces that Hermes is very good at. One of my favorite pieces is scarf rings. I love scarf rings.
Oh, yes.
They
Oh,
protect your
beautiful.
scarf. They look so elegant and sophisticated, and there are a bunch of models that Hermes create for different size of scarves as well. Worth checking. And if you are intimidated by Hermes prices, this is a good starting point because they're not that expensive at all as a
Yes,
start.
I think that things like scarf rings and little things like that can definitely elevate your outfit, but you have to be careful because there are also accessories, and this is why I think
Yeah,
accessories are so important, that can downgrade your entire look. And something that I
definitely.
always call this, it's really funny because I always call this the deadly sin when people wear dresses with sneakers. I
Oh,
cannot stand it. It's like it ruins everything and I'm like, "Oh, well you get a point for the effort with the dress, but the sneaker took off 10 points because it ruined the entire look." And it just
definitely.
shows how important it is to also choose your accessories wisely for different activities. And I think it's very classic and elegant to pick your things correctly for the events. You're not going to go to a formal event in sneakers. You're going to have to wear
Yes,
some shoes that complement the outfit. So that's another way
absolutely.
why I do think accessories are so vital. Maybe it's more important than all of the other factors because it could ruin it.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. Unless you're wearing a tennis dress and going for
Yes.
sports, don't wear sneakers.
Ex- exactly, but that's the point, because if you're wearing tennis clothes, you're likely going to do something tennis related where you'll
Or
need the
sport
shoes. It's
related, yeah.
functionality.
And you have no idea how much accessories could really elevate an outfit. Very
Yes.
fun twist. My magic component, which is not elegant by all means to 90% of people, the Skims slip dress. I know a lot of people look at it and they frown. Oh, this is not elegant. But I was on a cruise for the New Year's Eve with my husband, and on that cruise, the dress I had for the New Year's Eve, the zipper got broken, and immediately I thought, okay, I have the slip dress. I'm gonna wear it. My husband looked at me. Are you sure? It's a gala night, and in cruises, you have a dress code for each night. They bring for you a paper that tells you have to wear this today. If you're odd, you're not gonna be allowed in the restaurant. Simple. You're not gonna eat. So I styled it with the long velvet gloves, heels, and pearl set. And
Oh,
whenever people
wow.
look at the, you can check the reel. I posted a reel.
Hmm.
No one can ever think that this is a Skims slip dress.
Wow. That is absolutely impressive. But I mean, the Skims slip dress, and that's another part where you can say functionality. If you dress it up like that, of course nobody's gonna know, but before you even said it was a gala night and you mentioned it was a cruise, I was thinking, well, on a cruise, it might be warm if you're going to a warmer area in the world on a cruise. And then a dress like that is actually much more comfortable than something that is going to suffocate you because you get so hot. So, yes, I do
Definitely.
think that dress could be elegant, like if you take it to the beach, even rather than walking
Definitely.
around and revealing everything.
Definitely. Definitely. It's the way you style anything. If you
Yes.
wear it with the right shoes, the right bag, scarf, hairstyle, accessories, it definitely can elevate it. As one of my last questions to you, it would be, how do you see the future of classic fashion evolving in this fashion industry and with all the trends and actually the elegance and the classic fashion being so in trend right now?
Well, here's the thing. I think that even before it was a trend, if you think about it, there were people with money, with real old money, that already dressed like this for the past 50 years, and it won't change in the future. They will still be the ones wearing this, and there will be people that probably us that will stick with it because we think it's not just a style or a trend, it's a lifestyle. It suits our lifestyle very well. And that's what's going to matter. And that's why I mentioned Kylie Jenner at the beginning, because we're going to see she's going to go back to whatever is the next trend. And most of the influencers and celebrities are going to do that as well, while the others remain in this timeless, elegant style. And we care more about the appearance that it actually is and the lifestyle that we live and what we have to wear more than what other people care about. It's more about us being comfortable and this being our choice of style rather than the trends. So I do think that there are going to be many people that are going to start dressing very differently, maybe even next year or maybe in the next 2 years. I think it won't be that long.
I hope you all enjoyed listening to this beautiful discussion and enjoyed and really got benefit out of what we have been saying. Make sure to check the description box. I'm going to put many links and share all the contact information of Fiorina. It was a pleasure to have you, and it's such a beautiful discussion we had, a friendly talk, and so excited that we had you on our podcast. And maybe we're going to have you again for other podcast episodes. Let's see about that. And any final things you want to say to everybody?
I would just say stay true to yourself, and if you choose to dress classic, you can do it while bringing out your own personality.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And bye, everyone. Have a nice week.